It's me. Hi, I'm the internet problem. It's me. Welcome to the Baseball Insiders. Come on in, kick up your feet, relax a little while. I'm Adam Weinrib, joined as always by Fansided's MLB Insider Robert Murray. A couple minutes late, and it's my fault. So throw internet tomatoes at my stupid face. Robert, how you doing, dude?
Yeah, I'm great, man. If I do throw an internet tomato at your face, I'm going to make sure to avoid that hat because holy smokes, that thing is unbelievable. That is probably the best hat in Baseball Insider's history. Major shout out to you for having that ready. That is insane. Well, we love it. What is not insane is the free agent market because it still is going at a snail's pace. I mean, we've had some sort of movement here or there, but we still have Jordan Montgomery, Blake Snell, Matt Chapman, a lot of these guys still on the market. So it's still going slow. A lot of these guys still available. Adam Weinrib, how are you? We've got lots of tomatoes in the chat here too.
Yeah, people listen to me. I should stop telling people to do shit because then they do it. That's my bad. Yeah, we'll do what we can to give you the latest on Monty, Snell, etc. Even potentially Matt Chapman. Bob Melvin getting a little snarky today when I asked about pitching help. Scott Boras and Craig Counsell getting a little cheeky down in Chicago yesterday. So we'll try to break it all down, open up that notebook, do the best that we can. I did get this hat very recently. It's from the brand new line of batting practice hats. Baseball getting its hats right so far this year. Unfortunately, the uniform pants will show you a full dong. So they've got about 50% of the things correct. But look, we take the wins where we can get them. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Before we begin, this show is sponsored by DraftKings today. If you have not signed up for DraftKings Sportsbook, make sure you get your first bet on them. New customers will get a second chance bet up to $1,000 when signing up with our promo code Baseball Insider. That means if your first bet loses, you will get your full wager returned as a bonus bet up to $1,000. Signing up with our code Baseball Insider, and it's an easy one to remember because Robert is the insider and I am the other guy who yaps. So just one insider, not S. Not only covers your first bet, but also gets you access to daily rewards and other profit boosts. If you're looking to join DraftKings, go download the app, register with our promo code Baseball Insider to make sure your first bet is covered. This offer is only available to new customers who are 21 plus and physically present in legal gambling states. Please remember to always gamble responsibly. Check the episode description for the full terms of the offer to see if you qualify. Also, special shout out today, go coach and change the game for Special Olympics Florida athletes. In Florida, more than 45,000 coaches and volunteers deliver more than 20 Olympic-type sports, but many more coaches are needed to work with Special Olympics athletes, especially in the state of Florida. Special Olympics uses the power of sport as a catalyst for change for people with intellectual disabilities to develop physical fitness, demonstrate courage, experience joy, build confidence, create friendships on and off the playing field, and the movement's volunteer coaches make that happen. February 2024 into March, Special Olympics Florida is encouraging young athletes and young adults to register to become a Special Olympics Florida coach. For those interested in volunteering, visit SpecialOlympicsFlorida.org, where you'll find information on coaching in Florida and registration details. Visit Special Olympics Florida on Facebook and Instagram. The hashtag GoCoachSOFL. Now let's get on into it. Robert, is there anything, let's give me, you can break the Blake Snell and Jordan Montgomery signing right now, right? You have the full contract details, team name, information, etc. You're good?
Yeah, I approximately have none of that because there has been nothing there. No signings have happened, just so we don't end up getting everyone in a frenzy here. No signings have happened, but it's still just a giant mystery as to what this market looks like for either of these guys. And we've seen, Blake Snell, he's been connected obviously to the Yankees. He's been connected to the Giants, to the Angels, and a lot of different reports. I'm still really skeptical about the Yankees' chances, just based on what I've heard and what other reports in New York have suggested. The Giants, I think they make a ton of sense here for a guy like Blake Snell. They definitely need a starting pitcher, especially with the recent injuries that they've had in the rotation. I even think a guy like a Jordan Montgomery would make sense for that organization as well. I know there's people in that organization who like him, which comes as no surprise considering just the track record that he has and just the success that he's had recently too. And you can even make the case that they should be in on a guy like Matt Chapman as well. So, I mean, surely they're probably talking to a lot of these Boras clients. Would not get your hopes up for a JD Martinez signing by any means, but the starting pitching market has so many good options. Like you look at it, it's Blake Snell, Jordan Montgomery. Those are the top guys, obviously. And then you even have Michael Lorenzen or Mike Clevenger, who are some pretty intriguing mid-tier guys. Just no movement, and I don't know when this market eventually gets to go. And especially like opening day is like not too far away. Crazy.
And these are pitchers. The opening day is on the horizon, and pitchers have to work their arms up to opening day readiness. Blake Snell, I don't know what he's doing. Jordan Montgomery, I know Scott Boras is a camp for these guys, but that can only do so much. We will talk about the Monty Boston fit in a little bit. I want to touch on Matt Chapman. Obviously, we've got some other teams throwing their hat in the ring because you had Craig Counsell and Boras yesterday joking around at the Cody Bellinger reintroduction press conference. Like, I thought you were going to bring another one of your guys here. And so you have to connect them, I guess, for now. But it does feel like in the Snell market, you've got the Yankees hanging out on the periphery. Every Yankees reporter says not going to happen. And then Snell's people are now floating that he's considering a short-term, higher AAV thing, which makes the Yankees even less likely. You got the Angels and the Giants, as far as I can tell. Then you add Jordan Montgomery in there. You've got the Red Sox. You've got a mystery team. You've got Joel Sherman stumping for the Mets. I mean, how far off am I here on what the totality of those two players' markets includes? Like, I guess what I'm asking is, could the Phillies or the Cubs get involved on Snell, Montgomery, Chapman? Or is it really the Angels and Giants and the Red Sox battling it out for these three names?
Oh, wait, but before I dive into that, was there actually a report about a mystery team here?
I haven't heard one. I think we're just holding out hope that there will be. And you mentioned on the last show, like, hey, you never know. Haven't heard one yet. So I'm hoping that one shows up soon.
No, we're ripe for a mystery team because it's been basically just all quiet as far as the mystery team. There's always one every offseason. We're lacking at that point. And the longer that these guys end up lasting on the market, the more likely it is that a mystery team does get involved at some point, because that's a shorter term deal is going to end up opening up some possibilities for some of these teams. And maybe it's the Phillies. The Mets to this point still have not been involved in that market for pitching. So I would not anticipate them doing that, but things could change, especially with Steve Cohen's deep pockets. There's definitely the possibility that another team ends up hopping in, but that's the thing, is just who could it end up being? It's a really unique market. I don't think that Boras could have ever anticipated it lasting this long into the offseason, especially for Snell and Montgomery. I mean, we're talking about two guys that are really, really talented, Montgomery just got done winning a World Series and Snell just won a Cy Young. And they're still on the market here with March 1st looming. And we're talking about a month away from opening day. And Boras still claims through what he ended up saying yesterday with the Cubs during that press conference, or after the press conference, that those guys should be ready for opening day, even if they sign a little bit later, just because they've been working out at his facilities, and he claims it's just as good as spring training. So we'll see about that, but it is just a really quiet market overall. And as we've been saying, and as I said before, the longer that they end up waiting out on this market, the more likely it is that a mystery team could hop in, or we have these injuries that happen. A team becomes desperate and ends up giving into the price, or they end up finding common ground on a deal. To me, that team screams the Giants. That's just my own speculation, not reporting anything there. But you look at the injuries that they have at the bottom of the rotation. They needed pitching help coming into the year, especially with Alex Cobb and Robbie Ray on the IL and probably out for until midseason. That team, to me, makes a lot of sense for one of these starting pitchers.
And now that we're at least hearing from Snell's camp, presumably, that like, hey, short-term high AAV, maybe not so bad. Maybe we could be into that type of thing. It feels like he's at least getting a little bit itchy to sign, and you've got the Angels and you've got the Giants losing starters at the back end of the rotation by the day. Both of those teams make sense as perfect fits. You don't need to dive that deep to get to either of those teams landing Snell. The Montgomery one is still the kookiest to me because it feels like lines in the sand have been drawn here. He wanted the Rangers. The Rangers, I guess, wanted him at a certain price. If the TV deal worked out, they're using that as an excuse. But the TV deal didn't work out. So the Rangers declared publicly, I don't see any more free agents on the horizon. The Red Sox and Montgomery, obvious fit. But the Red Sox have a budget that they've drawn, and they haven't gotten any closer there. So could the Red Sox absorb a 5-year, $110 million deal? Of course. But will they? They haven't yet, and they could have moved on that on January 8th. So there's like a pet theory in the Discord that maybe this is all a smokescreen and the Red Sox don't even really like the player that much, or at least enough to risk any sort of long-term deal in a supposed non-contention window year. I guess dispel or confirm their interest and their evaluation of the player as far as you can tell. And then am I correct in saying we are just sort of, we've got the Rangers drawing a line in the sand, we got the Red Sox inventing a line as well, and then who else? That's why the Cubs, that's why the Phillies, that's why the mystery team Yap starts, because you're like, there are two teams in on him and neither want to spend on him. So it's March. What are we doing?
No, exactly. And if you end up looking at these teams for Montgomery, for the Rangers, that was a team that has always made the most sense for me. It's just a case of their TV deal. They had all those questions for the majority of the offseason, and they ended up getting them answered, but it was only a short-term deal. It was only a one-year deal for the TV deal, and there's still uncertainty long-term, which has really complicated negotiations with Montgomery. If he ends up doing a short-term deal, then I mean, maybe that puts the Rangers back in play. But I have not heard anything about Montgomery being willing to do a short-term deal, which, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's just a case of I genuinely don't know. I mean, we've seen the smoke about Blake Snell. Obviously, Bellinger ended up doing a short-term deal. I have not heard anything about Montgomery being willing to do that, which, I mean, if he ends up being willing to do that, then I think that puts the Rangers in it to an extent. But the going to the Red Sox here, this has been a team that has really confused me all offseason. And they're a team that, big market, you expect them to always be spending big dollars. And yet we've seen them cry poor. We've seen them have negotiations to trade salaries off the major league roster. We've seen comments even from today about Kenley Jensen saying that the vision is totally different than what he had imagined. And it's really confusing what they're doing. And I've heard different things, that we've seen what Chris Cotillo and Sean McAdam have reported in Boston, saying that they're even being stingy about minor league deals. Does that really suggest the team is willing to spend what it takes to get Jordan Montgomery? I'm skeptical of that. I've always been skeptical. I promise Red Sox fans, that is not me hating on you guys. I don't want to see people in my Twitter mentions saying that I'm hating on you guys. That is not what I'm doing at all. I'm just skeptical that ownership there is willing to spend. And if they prove me wrong, that's awesome. But they have given me nothing to suggest that they're willing to change. And that really, if we're talking the Red Sox possibly being unlikely, or even the Rangers maybe not being as strong as they once were early in the offseason, that really makes his market that much more cloudy.
And if you want to view the Red Sox stuff optimistically, which I'll toss the bone out there, at least if they're haggling, look, are they going to spend astronomically to improve this team to the point where they need to get it to a real contender? Doesn't sound like it. But if they're haggling on minor league deals, there's at least a chance that they're reserving any bit of pennies they possibly can to get the most money in that Montgomery offer, so that they can get it to a place where they're able to, feel like they didn't spend elsewhere, but they did spend on at least one player. I don't know, but at least it is something to suggest they're saving money for something. For what? Like, it could be Liverpool, or it could be one contract like Jordan Montgomery to give them the innings they need eaten this year to at least compete. We'll see. There is a super chat here sort of saying Blake Snell to the Yankees dead, from Cody Keith. And I think it's probably worth just quickly saying it sounds dead to me. And it sounds like enough Yankees people have reminded fans of the tax just to be like, hey, when you're thinking about Blake Snell, make sure you think about this tax. So sounds dead to me, but would you sort of classify that as likely dead?
I wouldn't. So if a player's still on the market, I don't think you can ever really characterize it as dead. But that being said, it's always been unlikely about Snell going to the Yankees. I just don't think that's necessarily the most likely of options, and I would be pretty surprised if he ended up going there, considering that other teams' candidacies, at least as of this point, are much stronger than the Yankees.
There was another super chat as well before we move on that was just like, hey, Dodgers, they didn't anything else. And there was another suggestion about like, hey, short-term high AV, Blake Snell, Dodgers, who says no? Does that sound at all reasonable? It does feel like I've been on record saying I don't think the Dodgers offseason is overkill. I think they did what they needed. I think they've gone out sad in the playoffs several years in a row, had their eyes on Ohtani, got him, and just happened to get his good friend as well. And Tyler Glasnow, hometown. Like, they did what they had to do to get back to supremacy, to being that team that people envied. So I don't think it's overkill. But if they do sign Blake Snell now, 1 year and $60 million or something crazy, I do feel as if that may have crossed the line into overkill.
Yeah, I was joking with somebody the other day. Like, if to me, the Dodgers still could use another starting pitcher.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And like, I joked if they're going all in on getting Yamamoto, getting Ohtani, getting Teoscar Hernandez, getting all these guys, why not just throw it all in and go get Blake Snell? That being said, I cannot imagine a scenario in which that happens. That just seems like that would, as you said, that'd be overkill. But to me, I would not rule out another Dodgers move. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't expect anything big by any means, but a smaller deal to add more depth to the rotation or just add another arm to the bullpen, I think that would make a lot of sense for them. But I think we can pretty confidently say that their heavy lifting is over. Yeah, that is. By the way, that is. I'm not reporting anything about Snell and the Dodgers there. I want people to not freak out about that in the comments. Like, that was just. Yeah, I was just saying. No, I was not reporting anything there. That is not at all.
If anybody's reporting it, it's just me reporting it in the scared of LA Times. It would be like, it's terrifying. But I don't think that's going to happen. We'll see. Out there on the West Coast, it feels like there's at least a shot, a potential of a Matt Chapman fit in San Francisco. There was a little bit of laughter and levity at Giants camp again today as well. And it's a tough moment where they have a starter, Tristan Beck, go down with an aneurysm. That's going to put you down for quite a while. And Bob Melvin was somebody hinted, there are still some guys on the free agent market who could help your rotation. And he was like, who are you talking about? Are there guys? So they're thinking about it. It's no secret. But it does feel to me like Matt Chapman would be the better fit. And that maybe one Blake Snell, unless they go Rodon, unless they go 1-2 years with an opt-out after one, I'm not sure if there's a fit there just because pitchers are going down. Angels make more sense for a team that can give him what he needs. But if he really does want that short-term high AAV, the Giants could cram a Chapman and a Snell in there pretty easily. Where are you on Matt Chapman right now? Because I know we have thirsty Cubs fans. Giants fans obviously have had Chapman expectations for 2.5 months now. And even Blue Jays fans aren't ruling it out.
Yeah. I think the Chapman price is definitely much lower than it was entering the offseason. I think that's going to end up being a short-term deal. Just my own speculation there. And I think he would make a lot of sense for the Giants, for the Cubs, even the Blue Jays if they wanted. But that being said, the Blue Jays already have a glut of infielders. And that is just a team that I don't know exactly how they're going to be able to manage the amount of infielders that they have now. And if you add Chapman to that just really makes it complicated. And yeah, to me, if Chapman ends up signing a short-term deal, which I think at this point could be where it's heading, then that really, to me, if that's a scenario where he's choosing between short-term offers and wants to have a chance at going back on the market next offseason and wants to have the best chance to maximize his success this year, I look at a team like San Francisco. You have a manager in which he's really comfortable with, that he's close with, in Bob Melvin. And then you also have a city or an area in the Bay where he's played, clearly comfortable. He's been there, he's thrived at. I think that makes a lot of sense for him. And I mean, that's my own 2 cents. That's just my speculation. That's just not connecting. But I think the Giants make a lot of sense for him. But as of yesterday, I did not get the sense that there was progress. I don't know about today or anything, but I know the Giants have talked to him this offseason. Obviously, just another one of these guys that's really just, in a weird spot in free agency. I think what really has impacted him has been the really strong start to the season he had last year, and then the really slow rest of the year that he had. And that combined with his asking price at the start of the offseason was always going to make this a difficult free agency. And we've seen it play out. I'm really curious to see where he ends up going and what this deal looks like, because I've heard different iterations of what the potential framework could be, and it's not what I was expecting.
And it is March, and all due respect to Matt Chapman, he's not quite Bryce Harper or Manny Machado. He's a very good ball player. He helps your team immediately. Defensive upgrade, defensive master. But yeah, we're now waiting on players. We used to just wait on megastars who were seeking that 350 million plateau. And now we're waiting on these mid-tier flawed guys. And, if Chapman does take that 1-year deal, he's going to have to contend with Alex Bregman on the market next offseason. Dana Brown said that the Astros do plan to offer Bregman an extension, quote, at some point yesterday. My counterpoint, do they though? Yeah, everybody, it's March. Many people will listen to this in March. Today's February 29th. Tomorrow is March. Get a new slant.
No, fake news Weinrib over here.
Yeah. I mean, look, I hear you. I mean, look, we want the facts. We want to look at calendars. It's February today. But fellas, if you're with me, ladies, if you're here, I know with the demographic breakdown, they're not here. But if they were, tomorrow. I don't know. How do you feel about the possibility of the Astros offering Bregman an extension? And if they do, is it serious, or are they just doing the lip service thing after taking care of Altuve? And we all know that next third baseman free agency market next year is more intimidating than this one.
Yeah. As far as the Bregman talks with the Astros, I would not be surprised at all if they ended up offering him a contract extension. They ended up, when the GM comes out and says that they anticipate offering it at some point, then you would expect it to happen, because if he ends up not following through on that promise, then that's going to end up looking pretty bad publicly. And he's been one of the most transparent GMs in baseball when it comes to sharing that kind of stuff, at least on the record. It's quite refreshing, honestly. So I would anticipate him doing that. But that being said, they also got to be really careful with this, in the fact that they can't offer him a weak deal. If they end up offering him an insulting offer, that can end up impacting future negotiations. And clearly they want to try to keep him. So they got to, if they end up making an offer, which, as I said, I anticipate them doing that, they got to make sure it's a legitimate offer and not just lip service, because they don't want to end up upsetting the player and insulting the player, because that just could be a bad thing. But I think what's going to end up being pretty important with this negotiation is getting to the Rendon deal, or maybe even topping it. I think that's going to end up being the magic number, at least as of this point.
Well, one thing Bregman does like to do is play baseball, which I'm not sure how Anthony Rendon feels about that at this juncture. So it's got that going for him. Want to get to the comments a few more times before we sign off. There's a desperate Pirates-Padres war going on right now, and I feel like we can touch on the Padres a little bit, just because outfield situation still quite unsettled. And there were some whispers about Tommy Pham, not just in the comment section. I think most Padres fans at this point would probably rather see Merrill on the opening day roster in the outfield spot than a free agent like Pham. But any updates on that mix? Or the Padres still in any markets? Because we were told they were in Kike Hernandez's market. There was a long list of finalists for Kike Hernandez. And then Kike comes out today and says it was actually the Dodgers and Yankees, and also the Tigers tried really hard. So I feel like I have no read on the situation right now. Are the Padres still searching?
They are. They are still searching. They were in on Kike Hernandez, but I just don't know to what extent. But they are continuing to look at outfielders. Tommy Pham is one that they have considered, from what I've gathered. Adam Duvall, I believe, is another. But that being said, I'm a little skeptical that they're going to end up spending that kind of money on an outfielder, at least as of this point. Maybe I think it would become more clear for them if they ended up shedding payroll. But yeah, this is not the typical offseason we've seen from AJ Preller. He is usually one of the most aggressive GMs in baseball. In this offseason, he's kind of just been, for the most part, sitting on the sidelines. And there's probably an abundance of different factors for that. But they're eyeing the outfield market. I would imagine they're still looking at a potential starting pitcher as well, because they've lost some arms there. But I would be pretty surprised if they ended up making a big splash like that. Unless they, as I said, they find someone to take some payroll off the major league roster.
Well, by making 0 moves this offseason, he is still somehow one of the most active GMs in Major League Baseball. So he's got that going for him. He usually is, and he is again by trading Juan Soto, and that's it. Anything else that I forgot to touch upon that you've got in the notebook? Players, teams active as we approach the end of the first week of spring training. Action in the books. And I think I speak for everyone when I say I love baseball being played every day. I think I'm good on spring training games. I think if we ended them today and went to the regular season, I would be fine with that. But anything else going on behind the scenes?
Yeah, I don't think Jordan Montgomery or Blake Snell would be okay with that.
No, they would not be pumped. No,
they would not be pumped at all. But as far as, I'll go for the Pirates here for Canyon. They continue to look at the outfield and the starting pitching markets. I don't know if anything is close there, but they have been eyeing those. The Cubs, that was really interesting yesterday with what Craig Counsell ended up saying to Scott Boras and about Jordan Montgomery. But I did not get the sense that anything was close there. But with the Cubs, they do have room for additional moves. But I don't know the likelihood of a big move. So I don't want to make up anything there to try to end up getting Cubs fans happy or sad. I'll just tell it to you straight up. I genuinely don't know, but you can't rule anything out, especially since they have a really good team, good lineup, good roster, aggressive GM, especially when the deal is right. And if the prices keep falling, then we could end up seeing Jed Hoyer strike again. Who knows? Angels, as far as that, I have heard nothing new. That's other than that, I think I'm pretty good over here, Adam.
What about our friend, obviously a burner here? I feel like I got to throw him a bone after so long with Rays thoughts. And by the way, the Rays, you guys did it again. You turned Robert Stevenson into a $33 million reliever, and he shows up to Angels camp with a bum shoulder. So congratulations. I guess you can do that annually 3 or 4 times. But any thoughts on are the Rays still pursuing any trades off the major league roster, or just sort of sitting here ready to have the same season they've had for the last 15 years?
I genuinely have not heard anything new. They did get Francisco Mejia. I did see a question here earlier in the show. I can confidently say that it's a minor league deal for Mejia. But that's the only Rays information that I have at this point.
Well, there we go. Well, I appreciate everybody joining us today. Look, we love doing these shows. Can't wait to do these shows during the regular season, preview the regular season, not talk about players languishing on the free agent market anymore. And then perhaps most importantly, talk about the trade deadline, because that's what you guys are here for, right? Talk about the trade deadline. We got big things coming up this year. I'm pretty excited. Biscuit nap time, but we will have Biscuit on the private All-Star stream, which is now next Wednesday, March 6th. 7 o'clock Eastern time. Stay tuned in the All-Star channel in the Discord for any updates. Same schedule for the regular season. Yes, obviously a burner. We're not going anywhere. You'll see us here twice a week. We're going to be doing some previews, some award stuff in March. We will do this Seinfeld quotes MLB season preview that we planned and promised. I will get that together. Maybe do a Curb quotes addendum too. Rest in peace, Richard Lewis, the GOAT. Ben Laden, he's got great callers. Robert, thank you for joining me. As always, this was another extremely fun one, even though we are just kind of sitting, chilling. Joseph, shout out for the super chat. I would take it to, we're at the 30-minute mark right now. I'd go back to like the 25-minute mark. We talked Padres and don't have much for you, but hopefully you'll enjoy what we did have to say.
No, exactly. They're still looking at a few different areas, but yeah, as I said before, just I would temper your expectations unless they're able to clear payroll off the major league roster.
Yeah, which everyone's trying to do. So best of luck there. Well, I'm Adam Weinrib for Robert Murray. We'll catch everybody here next Monday, and then again Wednesday on the private stream, Thursday right here again on the feed, 3:30 Eastern time. Shout out to everybody who keeps showing up, making the comment section fun as hell during an offseason that has been anything but for most of it. We'll see everybody right back here on Monday, 3:30. Take care, y'all.
Thank you, everybody.